We're gonna see if this is a good angle and good audio, yada 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 yada. Since we're a little over halfway through the year, I thought it would be fun to talk about my DNFs, my read, and my current or TBR. Good evening, literature lovers. It's like 11 p.m. I don't know what compelled me to make this other than the constant urge to talk about books. I'm in my nighttime cat shirt. I've got my Goodreads pulled up. This is also my ASMR mic from my secret ASMR account. So let's do my first DNF of the year. I'm sorry, not sorry about this one. This was actually for my book club, and this was a highly anticipated read for me, especially regarding how popular this is on social media. Frostbite Studios covers this like no other, and that's initially what drew me to this book, but unfortunately I do think I am no longer the target audience for this. It does make me kind of sad. This is about how far I got into it, and one rule I try to pride myself by is I try to give each book a 100-page limit. If I don't feel that click in 100 pages, DNF territory is okay. And that's exactly what I did with this book, because apparently I left off at page 103. Middle school or high school me would have absolutely adored this if I was a reader during that time, but me now, I crave a little something different, unfortunately. There's no hate in my heart for this book because I don't know the first thing about it, so this was a little bit of a letdown for me. Next, DNF. Hunting Adeline. I had the pleasure of reading the first one, and it wasn't horrid. It was incredibly cringe and just not necessarily my cup of tea. Maybe there's better dark romances out there, but dipping my toes in the water, wasn't feeling it. I did get through the first book. The second book, absolutely horrendous. I don't know what about the FMC getting literally for 300 pages straight is considered a book. It's not literature, that's for sure. This is my first 1-star read, and I will hate on this book for forever. Yeah. Our next DNF, this is kind of on the same par with The Cruel Prince, The Prison Healer. I'm so sorry about this one. I really wanted to be locked in with this, but unfortunately for me, if there is not that click where the book is consuming my thoughts entirely and everything I think about, it's like pulling teeth to try to get me to read it. The standard here is still going strong. I'm page 135 here, and this was probably January or February when I was reading this. I'm not opposed to giving it another chance, though. I think that is the beautiful thing about DNFs. Did not finish, but could still finish. This was for my book club in June. I had all intents and purposes to finish this book, seeing as I was on page 144, but book club is disbanded until further notice because I don't know. Everybody has some crazy stuff going on. I've got Miss Elsie Silver right here. I have heard such amazing things about her books. I really wanted to tune into my inner cowgirl, see if Elsie Silver and Lila Sage were on the same page, but unfortunately, I found the FMC and the MMC to be incredibly bland. If her other books are better, please let me know, because I would be willing to give them a chance, because nobody gets down to a little cowboy romance like I do. Hasn't been doing it for me this year. Let me grab my first read of the year, starting with Vicious by V.E. Schwab. I read The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue last year, and that book changed my life. Will forever hold a special place in my heart. This was also incredible. I have yet to read the second book, and it has been on my shelves for a few months now. Do you guys know how awkward it is to have someone in the same room when you're filming? Because my boyfriend is sitting right here. I'm trying to conjure up my inner book girl, but him and his South Park It's making me nervous. Anyways. Okay. From what I remember, I think this was like a 3.5 or a 4 for me. What did someone say on TikTok the other day? If they just kissed, it would have been all better, but now we have another book that I have to get to. So, Nocticadia. Carrie Lake has been my girl through and through for my reading journey so far. She is the queen of gothic romances, gothic fantasies, and Nocticadia I know for a fact was 5 stars because that book was incredible. The plot made their relationship and the smut so good. So good. If you're looking for a little professor-student action... Okay, you need to leave. You need to leave. Nocticadia was great. Since then, I've read some other Carrie Lake books. They hit every time. That's what I'm talking about when I'm literally talking about the click. It happens with her books. Immediately locked in. Haunting Adeline. I already kind of shared my thoughts, so I will skip past this one. And you know, Shush, that I marked Hunting Adeline as read, because if I was going to go through the 300 pages of torture like Miss Addie had to go through, yeah, I'm marking that down as read. Emotional damages. I read the second book in The Serpent and the Wings of Night, The Ashes and the Star-Cursed King. This was one of those where the second book was better than the first, in my opinion. I really, really, really liked the first one, but I really, really, really loved the second one. I thought that her dynamic with her dad and just kind of diving into that and just the emotional side of everything that she brought on in the second book, it was top tier. It really was. This was really, really fun, how they are literally a match made in heaven for each other. But this was just kind of lacking that emotional depth aspect for me. And the second book brought it to the table. A slay. If we even use that word anymore. I told myself that this year I really wanted to try and branch out of fantasy because, as you can see from the 2 blurbs of shelves, they're filled with it. And you know, I want to be a well-rounded reader. I want to be well-informed. And it was life-changing. This was such an incredible book and such an incredible message. I'm pretty sure it's translated from French. Although it was a little bleak in a slow-going story, it just had so many one-liners and subtle messaging that really just puts a new perspective on life. And if that's not what reading's about, I don't know what is. This was incredible. I think this was a 5-star read, even though I can't see my ratings. I think this is fiction. I read City of Gods and Monsters by Kayla Edwards. This is the first book in the series. I really enjoyed this book, but it was really, really, really similar to Crescent City to the point where it was kind of hard for me to differentiate the books and be as invested. I really, really, really enjoyed Crescent City though, the first one. The second one, I have yet to continue this series because to me there wasn't necessarily gods and monsters. I loved Loren and how she was kind of a softer FMC. I feel like we have these hardened warrior beat your ass FMCs in fantasy nowadays, and I love it. I absolutely adore it because women are badass. Yeah, this was a maybe for me. If we're yes, no, maybeing it. Next, we have another Carrie Lake slay, Master of Salt and Bones. This was another gothic. I loved it. I loved it. I don't know what compelled me to pick this up. I was scrolling through Kindle Unlimited. That is part of my daily social media scroll now. I still have yet to pick up Anathema. I thought Master of Salt and Bones was so beautiful towards the end. I feel like it's this really kind of grungy, Twilight woodsy, northeastern, even though Twilight is northwestern. Anyways, yeah, it was good. It was good. Brooding MMC for the win. Now, this was my first thriller that I have read so far aside from Verity, and I will argue that Verity is a really good book. A really good book. I know we all have our feelings on Colleen Hoover. I literally just got rid of It Ends With Us like a week ago, and I am so excited to see Dakota Johnson in that film because I love Dakota Johnson. Not just because of 50 Shades of Grey, but something about her. I just love her. I love her so much. Anyways, this was my second thriller, and this was a big boy. My boyfriend's mom actually read this, and we ended up picking it up for my book club as well. So many parts of this story, and the writing was so beautiful that it brought me to tears multiple times. But the ending was very unsatisfactory for me. It was like we went on this whole journey and sacrificed so much for it to screw over the one person that really needed the happy ending, you know? But other than that, I would give this, I think, a 4 stars. That's what I gave it, 4 or 5 stars. It had the potential to be a 6 star for me, but it didn't quite live up to that. But I would recommend it. If they made this into a movie, Next up, I don't have the physical copy because my friend is borrowing it right now, but I did read Sunrise on the Reaping, and do I even need to explain? 6 star, obviously. I think that book put me into a book hangover like no other, because I didn't read the Hunger Games books until about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, for the first time. I watched the movies, I love the movies, but the books are life-changing, and this book was not playing around. I know I'm gonna be up in the theaters sobbing when it comes out, so. And after the total utter heartbreak that was Sunrise on the Reaping, I needed a palate cleanser. This was also for my book club, Watermoon. This was a lovely Studio Ghibli little love story. It was just so whimsical and fun and had such a airy presence about it, if we're just throwing words out there. Yeah, this was so fun. The cover is beautiful. I really, really, really enjoyed this book. If you need a little palette cleanser, pick up Watermoon. Next up, again, I really hope my audio is okay because I've been holding it away from me this whole time. I finally got around to reading Thrum by Meg Smitherman, and this is a little sci-fi novella. I loved it. It was like a Black Mirror episode, Love, Death, Robots. Truthfully, I was flabbergasted until the end because I could not figure out what was going on. And there was a little sprinkle of, romance, tension. You got this Victorian era looking alien, and it was good. It was really, really enjoyable. I think she left a lot of questions unanswered. That was the only critique I had, but that's kind of how Black Mirror Love, Death, Robots goes. So all right, another book club banger. Yep. I was literally crying within the first chapter. This is how you open up a book. You suck readers in right away. I found this whole story so compelling and cool, and the magic system was so intriguing. I think that's what made this so incredible as well. Also, the characters are they are fleshed out incredibly well. Siona, I was going to say Sorsha, R.I.P. They are not perfect people, and I think she includes their biases, their faults, their sins, their ignorances so incredibly well, and I think that makes this story 10 times more impactful. And yes, this lives up to the hype. If you haven't picked this up, you should. I still need to read Sword of Kagan, but we're not here for me. Actually, we are, because we're going over all the books I've read. So, another thriller, First Lie Wins. This was fun. It was interesting. I was just expecting a little more oomph. For some reason, I have it in my head that thrillers need to be a little bit more gory and jaw-dropping, and this was not that for me. It didn't have that kind of unsettling, scary aspect, which I personally like with my thrillers. even though I've only read 2. But 3 now. Yeah, this is okay. Not the best, not the worst. Okay, I do have the physical copy of Throne of the Fallen around here somewhere, but it's literally right in front of my face on the shelf right here. This was fun. It's about the Prince of Envy, and he's very envious and possessive. It kind of fell flat for me in a few different ways. Certain parts were very fun and exciting, and the whole "you belong to me." But yeah, that was kind of about it. I feel like we were kind of all over the place. The idea of the 7 circles of hell, 7 princes, 6 princes of hell is really fun and exciting. And I feel like you have so many directions to go with that. And it was just too many directions. Like, there was no map, we were just all over the place all the time. I did really like the twist with the FMC's character. I think that was fun and exciting, and I didn't see it coming. But I do not think I will continue this series. So, yeah. Maybe leaning towards yes on this one. Oh. Next up. Yeah. You know I was at Barnes & Noble nice and early when this came out. 5 stars, 6 stars. I will rave about Rachel Gillig through and through. This was, just from a writing and a plot structure perspective, this was perfect. The pacing, the places, the map, the character arcs, it was just lovely. It was all lovely. I am excited to see what she does in book 2. I kind of have a slight idea, but who knows? Rachel Gillig is mysterious. This was such a unique take on the character archetypes that we've seen before, you know, the brooding knight and the church girl, innocent church girl who knows nothing of the outside world. Yeah, this was absolute perfection. Same with One Dark Window. This is why I have a shelf dedicated to her, with the little lamp and everything. I'm just hoping my phone doesn't run out of storage, because this is what it did last time, and I just want to talk about my books uninhibited. I saw that Meg Smitherman also dropped another novella called Entity, and this was pondering the thought of AI robots and just sentience, moral ethics, that kind of thing, and the spiciness of it all. This was good. I liked Thrum just the littlest bit more, actually a lot more, just because there was so much we didn't know. I think with Entity there was a little bit more of a linear plot line, where Thrum was kind of all over the place. And I would recommend Entity. I thought it was really good. Great novella. I blew through it in like a day, so if you need a quick, fast-paced read, hit up Meg Smitherman. I know it's not spooky season, but it's almost spooky season, so I had to kick it off early. I read the second book in I wouldn't say it's a series, the other standalone in the Phantasma universe, Enchantra. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it was so much fun. I think I still have a favoritism for Phantasma, because this was just so fun and fresh and exciting. Enchantra did have that aura about it, but there were times where it felt just like a little bit rushed. Don't play with my girl, Ophelia. Okay. I next picked a random Kindle read, Ensnared. I was playing with the novella alien romance. I needed to step up to the big boys, and that's what this was. This was essentially if Avatar were with spiders, and I loved every second of it. The writing was actually incredibly well done, and the world building as well. It's a series. I think a new book just dropped, so if you catch me reading a spider alien romance out in public, no, you didn't. This was life-changing. Where do I even begin? I was brought to tears so much by the writing. It was so lyrical, and it was so poetic and beautiful, and I think it touched on a lot of really important topics and dynamics when it comes to different relationships. and we have a visitor. Say hi into the microphone.
Hi.
Okay. This is somewhat of a Dracula retelling through the point of view of one of his wives. It was magnificent and amazing and incredible, and even though it is about vampires, that's not necessarily the main focal point, and it makes it 10 times better. So if you haven't read this, read it. Read it. And my most recent read was the Book of Azrael. I thought this was actually really, really good. I know it was all the hype last year, and I don't know, I didn't have a Kindle, so I think that's why I didn't read it. And I was formulating my 200 book TBR, so it went on there instead of me reading. I really liked Diana's character, and I really liked that it was a literal gods versus monsters, because our MMC is a god from a fallen planet, and Diana is like this feared breed of monster that shouldn't exist anymore, but does. Yeah, the ending of the book was crazy, actually, and Diana should go off, because if that happened to me, you wouldn't see me in a human form ever again. So I did have a few issues with this book, and I think the dialogue and just the banter and some other parts were very, very repetitive. This was one of those books where I feel like the author didn't necessarily trust the audience to come to the conclusion that she wanted. She wanted to hold our hand from point A to point B, especially when it came to like the emotional stuff and not necessarily like the world building or the characters' powers and things like that. So other than that, I think I will be continuing the series, because I really, really, really love Diana's character. I really do. I read Heartless Hunter, or Crimson Moth, or whatever the devil name is. I really, 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 really wanted to love this book. It's not that I hate it. I still really enjoyed it. I just wish the witchy part was a little more earthy and herby and kind of what you'd expect a witch to be. So if y'all have any book recs for that, please let me know. I do not think this is enemies to lovers, and I have had the biggest qualm with people saying this book is enemies to lovers, and it's not. It's not. It's, oh, we're supposed to be enemies, but we have a common goal, and now we love each other. But the ending of this book, I did cry. I think the ending of this book was very well written. I will be continuing the series. I don't know when. But I do have the second book right here. This right here. I did not realize this book was released in 2012, because it seems like all of my favorite book talkers are talking about this. But oh, am I thankful, because I got to scour Goodreads, scour the Reddit threads for everyone's thoughts about this. And this book was just incredible. And I think it is a perfect example of what authors should do with their synopsis, because the more blind I am going into a book, the better. I don't want to know everything off the bat. I don't want to know names. I don't want to know anything. Just give me the bare bones of the story. Not even that. And I'm good to go. Because I want to be shocked. I want to be sobbing. I want to be literally hand over mouth in awe. Yeah. This is about a outcasted knight, a priest, and an orphan girl traveling through France during the Black Plague, and all of these strange, weird, unsettling things that start to arise. The writing in this was a little tough to follow. I think this is definitely an advanced read, but once you start navigating it and figuring out what has been going on, the end of this book had me literally sobbing. I don't know, I think there were so many weird little nooks and crannies and alcoves of stories within this book that just added to the context and added to the story in such a wonderful way. And once you kind of figure out and get into the groove of this writing style, I think this book is incredibly enjoyable. It was so good. This was another 6-star read, so I adored this. I adored everything about this. Please help me pick my next read, because I think this is what stalls me for as long as it... I don't even know. I'll show you our options. Between Two Fires has really sparked my interest for this. I always do a Game of Thrones rewatch every winter, but maybe it's time for a Game of Thrones read. And seeing that it's practically fall, it's already winter. Next, Six of Crows. I have heard nothing but good things about this, so let me know in one sentence what this book is about. Also, heard incredible things about this. And boy, do I love me a duology. I think that is the perfect amount of books to tell a great story. Prime example right here. I got this one from Book Outlet. And I also have the second book as well, ready to go. I just don't know. I don't know. When it comes to making decisions, I just can't. This, which everyone and their mom has been talking very highly about, and I pray to God that it is, because I need another one. And finally, the second book in the Crimson Moth. I hope the audio on this is a lot better since we're elevating the content here, and thank you guys for listening to my word vomit. I think that's just going to be my outro from now on. Alright, good night. Love you guys.